I appreciate the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you today and share with you something in connection with March, which is Disability Awareness Month. Um, as a financial advisor, my practice focuses almost exclusively on assisting the special needs community with the legal, financial, and government benefit issues that accompany the special needs journey. And today I'd like to talk about some concepts that enable families to help preserve the quality of life for a loved one that has special needs, and how your role can be essential in helping that come to life. Some years ago, we had the good fortune of special needs trusts becoming an option or an opportunity for the special needs community. This goes back over 30 years, so they've been around a while, but they've become more and more important in recent years as the government is helpful, but the government cannot fully step up to maintain the quality of life that our loved ones have become accustomed to. And so the direction generally has been for it to be more important for families to make arrangements for their son, their daughter, in some cases sibling, that has special needs, so that they're while the government is helping, that they're not completely dependent upon government benefits, or that their quality of life is not completely controlled by those benefits. So special needs trusts and ABLE accounts are two things that I'd like to share with you about today, and again, the role that you might be able to play. As you come into contact with families, and hopefully among the questions that you ask are, does anyone in your immediate family have special needs? And it comes to light that there's a son, a daughter, this type of thing that has special needs, then I can tell you from experience, there will be a substantial focus on how they can plan for the future of their loved one that needs help. And so special needs trusts largely came about as a result of OBRA 93, the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1993, so 32 years ago now. And a family that has a son, a daughter, a child with special needs can choose to put a special needs trust in place. What's powerful about that is that it creates a focus on funding for, again, the quality of life for that loved one that has special needs. In addition to that, it creates an opportunity for parents to have peace of mind and that a provision has been made for their loved one. And in addition to that, it really irrigates the conversation parents have with adult siblings about the future and the plans that are in place for their adult children's sibling or siblings that have special needs. So what does a special needs trust do? Well, the legislation made it possible for parents to establish a trust and fund it, and for that trust to help provide for and pay for things for their loved one with special needs without what's in the trust being counted as an available resource. And that's super important because much of the government benefits that families that have a member with special needs seek are means tested. The government is interested in what resources or assets the individual or the family has, and in many cases, those assets are used as a reason for the government to not provide much needed assistance. And so families are very sensitive to how much money their son or their daughter with special needs has, because they've learned over the years that if they have too much money, then the government will not help. And the benefits the government provides literally are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the lifetime of their child with special needs. So many of the families truly live in fear that the planning they do or the steps that they take will undermine continued eligibility for these benefits. So as financial planner practitioners, we need to be careful and thoughtful that indeed we help families plan in such a way that it creates opportunities, it doesn't limit them, and that we help them position themselves financially and through estate planning legally as well in such a way that assets and resources are used to lift the child or dependent with special needs up, not actually cause them to lose these extremely valuable benefits. So let's talk briefly about what the resource limits are and what the benefits are. So the resource limit for Medicaid in the state of Indiana is $2,000 for a single individual. So any individual that receives Medicaid benefits for health care, and by way of extension, something we call Medicaid waiver assistance with added services, et cetera, could not have more than $2,000 in checking, savings, money market, mutual funds, UTMA, custodial account, IRA, et cetera. It covers most anything registered in their name or under their Social Security number. And so as a result of that, parents severely limit the amount of assets and resources that accumulate in the name of their child or dependent with special needs. So in essence, the child as a child or even as an adult remains in something of an impoverished state in order to maximize the support and assistance they receive from the government. So you might say, so what are these benefits? Well, Medicaid is health care. We all know how much health care costs these days. Then waiver services provide everything from extended health care to services such as a behavioralist, community habitation, all kinds of benefits that are supportive and helpful in their childhood as well as transition to adulthood. Then there's Social Security, and this starts typically as SSI to start with, frequently at the age of 18. That benefit alone can be close to $1,000 per month. And then it extends beyond that, eventually to Social Security disability benefits and survivor benefits. So collectively, again, these benefits are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And so the idea is to let the government do as much heavy lifting as possible and to let family resources take care of what the government can't or won't. So I would encourage you, when you work with families that have a child or dependent with special needs, to consider a special needs trust and collaborating with an attorney that has expertise in special needs to get that trust in place. Beyond that, your role is very much going to be a part of how does that trust get funded? And as you might imagine, there are few sources better to fund a special needs trust than life insurance. And while term life insurance can be a very effective tool to replacing lost income in the event someone departs earlier than expected, when it comes to funding a special needs trust for a trust beneficiary who is likely to outlive the parents dying on schedule, permanent life insurance coverage can actually be the go-to to ensure that the trust is always funded, no matter whether the parents die young and tragically or live a long and fulfilling life. So it's really very much a win-win for everyone. You have a focus on helping the family plan and prepare for the child with special needs. The family, the parents will be very thankful for the assistance you provide, the guidance and good counsel, collaborating with an attorney to do what we call special needs estate planning, putting a special needs trust in place, and then working with your client, working with the family to ensure that there's strong funding for the trust, not just in the present, but in the future, and utilizing the products and services at your disposal to do so. The only other thing that I'll mention is ABLE accounts, and they're fairly recent, so you may or may not be familiar with them. But an ABLE account, they've been around here in Indiana for about 6 or 8 years, and it's an opportunity for someone with a disability to set aside funds, actually have an investment account without it counting against them. So I want to create an awareness. 2 things with that. There is a limit as to how much can be put into an ABLE account each year, currently at $19,000. And they can only have one single ABLE account. In addition to that, the potential exists upon the death of the individual with a disability that the state may claim what's left in the ABLE account again upon their passing. So please understand that ABLE accounts are a very useful and helpful tool, especially in the current era where we have a record number of our special needs population in the workplace. But they are not a replacement for special needs trusts and the need to fund the special needs trust for long-term quality of life, again, for their loved one with special needs. Well, I hope this information has been helpful today, and certainly invite you to reach out to me if you have questions or need assistance with anything related to special needs that you're working on. I pretty much eat, sleep, and breathe special needs, working with thousands of families statewide and I'm thankful for the opportunity to share with you today.